Yo, what is good, Celtics Nation? Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Bleed Green TV episode 3 is finally here, and we have a lot to discuss. Me and Ricky are going to break down some media quotes, some practices, training camp is here. We're just a few days away from preseason action, man. This is where we're going to see a lot of the guys, young guys, veterans, new acquisitions really coming to action here, as well as some new schemes that Joe Mazzulla has been hinting at during some of his interviews over the last few days, man. And Ricky, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. We're getting ready for the season. I get to see all these players that the fans are going to get overly hyped about that won't see quality minutes in the big games. But it's cool, man. It's still good to see, on a serious note, development and guys, getting better. What's this, what's Jordan Walsh going to be looking like? Is Sam Hauser going to get some minutes? How's his shooting in comparison to last season? It's cool. You get to see some of these guys grow up in the system. We're so pro development as far as the Celtics go. They like drafting their own guys, developing their own guys, bringing their own guys up in the system. So it is cool to see that whole thing because it's kind of the most you see for some of these guys for a good portion of the season where you'll see them play a good stretch of minutes aside from the, blowouts and things like that. But yeah, man, we're good. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see basketball again. That's really the big thing. I mean, as big of a Celtics fan as I am a big NBA fan, and just to see good basketball again, to see guys getting back into shape, and you see another good season, another great quality 82 game season coming our way, man. I'm good, man. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, me too. But we just had media day a couple of days ago. I want to kind of talk about that first, and it was kind of just a little bit of a taste of what to expect going into preseason. One of the first things I took away from actually Brad Stevens' interview was he talked about Jrue Holiday, and he was like, ever since I signed as a head coach here in Boston, I would walk into Danny Ainge's office probably a couple of times a year and be like, can we go get Jrue Holiday? And he was so happy. He was smiling throughout the entire press conference. And it's just like, you could tell Jrue Holiday is a player that fits perfectly here in Boston, and is just someone that Boston fans are probably going to fall in love with, just his demeanor, his play style, his work ethic. And I mean, listen, when you can have a guy like Jrue Holiday come in here and be the fourth scorer, you're losing Marcus Smart, yes, but I mean, Jrue Holiday looks exciting already in the first couple of days of practice. Brad Stevens, Wick, they all have been so just enamored with the way he's been playing basketball. Since day one, he said he was nervous the first practice, but still Brad Stevens was like, dude, he looked like the best defender on the court at all time. So that was something I took away. How are you feeling about Jrue Holiday right now, man? And how's the energy looking like for you? What do you think is going to happen? You think Drew's going to be a perfect fit? Think he's going to take some gel time? How are you feeling right now?
I mean, I don't want to regurgitate too much information that we gave on episode 2. We all know how much I love this trade, how much I love Brad. If it wasn't possible for me to love Brad more, he just made me even more excited because he just did the thing that we all needed it to happen. And Drew's going to be a great addition to the team. You say fourth option. I think third. I think he'll be more of a scoring option than Porzingis. I mean, Porzingis is going to get his buckets, I'm sure, but I feel like more of a defensive presence / like just stick him to the sidelines and just let him shoot the open three. But he's also going to be able to score when guys are getting double covered. And obviously, so, I agree with you. Third, fourth option, I think in a lot of games where he's carrying the ball more and he's more facilitating, you're going to see him get his buckets up. I could see him being a 14, 16-point a game player. I think he has that in him for a season, even with it. I would love to see that. 14 and 8, that would be amazing. Even 14 and 6, I would love that too. I think that just shows the facilitation that he offers. I've wanted Jrue Holiday on this team. I agree with I agree with Brad. Going to Danny, can we get Jrue Holiday? Can we get Jrue Holiday? Can we get Jrue Holiday? I felt that way about Julius Randle before he went to the Knicks. Can we get a guy like this? And then they went and got Jrue Holiday. So Brad, again, the GOAT, top 5 executive in the NBA. I stand on this. He is not settling. He doesn't care what's on the roster. He understands the holes. He understands where we lack. And he went out there, wasted no time, and he got this guy. And it just goes to show that every executive in Boston can take notes on how this guy is not resting on just good enough and wanting to be by far the best team in the NBA as far as competing for a title, because that's what we're trying to do right now. Their window is now, and he knows that.
No, yeah, that is exactly right. And, personally, I think Brad Stevens has kind of even inched his way into being one of the best GMs in the NBA already. And I remember when it first happened, dude, I was like, dude, how is Brad Stevens going to be a college coach, a head coach, and now a GM? Like, he has no experience making trades, signing people to contracts. How is this going to work? But man, he has proved me wrong, right away.
In a way, I saw it being a good thing because he was so good with the player development. I mean, think about the guys we drafted, Terry Rozier. I mean, we know about Jalen and we know about Tatum, and those guys were drafted so high that it's like we expect that out of them. But Marcus was a diamond in the rough, and we talked about JB on how his game has vastly improved, especially from the shooting aspect of it. And then we also talk about guys like Terry Rozier and other guys we've drafted in the system that have guys who've come in and learned under Brad and under his staff, and he's done a good job of developing the talent. So it doesn't really surprise me that he's going into it from the perspective of, this is how I can develop a guy. This is how we can acclimate him into our team. This guy's a perfect fit for the team in this manner. And I feel like Danny and him had a bit of a difference in that fact. I feel like Danny was like, I'm really feeling this type of player. And then I feel like maybe sometimes it was like, well, I really don't feel like this would be meshing. And we saw that in previous years where there was like too many mouths to feed. We had Kyrie, we had Terry, we had Gordon, we had Jalen, we had Tatum, and it was just like all these guys are just scorers, but we don't have guys that like primarily focus on defense or primarily focus on ball handling. Jrue and Porzingis are scorers, but they also have great attributes in other aspects of the game, and he knows that, and that's why he's going out to get these guys to complement the team.
No, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And when you talk about the Kyrie team with Gordon Hayward, Terry, all egos, all those guys wanted to get paid for their next contract. So you would see nobody get hot because they would all everyone would want to shoot the ball when they touched it. So that team was just really good on paper, but man, the chemistry was so dog water. But it also,
and this is no crap on Danny. Danny brought us a title in 2008. He made the deal of deals twice. Once getting Garnett here, and then it was a trade assassination getting Jason Tatum here. I mean, we literally didn't give up anything and got the best player in the draft by far. So
exactly.
I'm not poo-pooing on Danny. I like Danny. I think he was great, but I think he was so gun shy with always needing to win the trade. I always have to be the guy who by far would straight. I always gotta stuff Isaiah Thomas in with a Kyrie Irving deal and make it so obvious that I won this trade. I gotta swap picks and get the best player in the draft and be so overwhelmingly dominant on this trade. It's like, how about just going to make a trade for Miles Turner and be even Steven when we needed a center? Or how about going to make a trade for a guy that we really needed in a moment? And you felt like there was so much buzz around players that Danny never pulled trigger on because he was just so afraid of, not winning the deal. I don't think Brad really cares about winning the deal. He just cares about does this make my team better? Yes or no? Minus Rob, add Porzingis, better? Yes, no. Minus Smart, add Jrue. Yes, no. Is that better? Okay. And I know those are two different trades, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm giving it revisionist history here. But at the same time, I feel like Brad has a game plan, and I don't want to say Jrue Holiday was the only plan he had, but I'd be willing to bet he knew at some point there was going to be a person there that he could go get, and it just happened to be Jrue.
Yeah. He actually talked about that in his media interview. I don't know if you watched it, but he was like, listen, we did we did a lot of research. We actually calculated there was 15 guys in the league that could have been dealt for Damian Lillard, and Jrue Holiday was one of them. And he said, right when we found out it was Jrue, we were on the phone. We were going to get a deal done no matter what. So, I mean, Brad does such an amazing job. But even though our team looks so good on paper right now, the thing that really matters right now is coaching. And I know I want to talk about Joe Mazzulla for a second. I know you want to see a big season, a big jump in year 2 for Joe Mazzulla, as so does everyone. But he has a big role. If he can't get it done with this team, he might not be here next season because this team looks amazing defensively, offensively. This team looks amazing. But he also mentioned one thing in his interview with JJ Redick that just dropped on YouTube. Go check it out. It was an amazing listen. But he talked about adding a curveball to the team. And what he was basically trying to say was, take the Miami Heat, for example. At random spurts, they would go in and throw out a 2-minute zone to mess with the offense and be like, okay, how the hell do we get past the zone? And once the offense gets past the zone, they go back to man. So it's like you're messing with the opposing team's offensive schemes. So Joe wants to add a zone that you can throw in 2 minutes, 1 minute in the fourth quarter, in the first quarter, just mix up the offense. And I think it is kind of smart because I don't know if you remember that Heat series, he would randomly go zone and we would just turn into ISO ball and it would never work. And they've been doing it for a while now. So credit Eric Spoelstra over there. But he said he experimented with that through Summer League and he wants to get some, data, some analysis from it. But it looks like it's something he's thinking about doing in the regular season. Personally, I think it would be smart instead of just doing switch everything.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm good with it as long as it's not based off analytics, man. I'm an older school guy, man. I'm born in the 90s. I'm 30. I'm in my 30s. I'm old school. Yeah. I don't want to hear about the nerds in sports talking about percentages and you got to go for this on this percentage. I'm sorry. I'm not that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. So with Joe, and I know Brad's like this too. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I know Spo uses it too. I know analytics is across the whole league. But here's the thing. Yeah. I know that these guys at the elite level of coaching go based off of the feel and how their team is responding to certain situations. I need that from Joe. I don't want to be hearing about this is the reason why we ran this because the nerds told me that this is the highest percentage we have to win. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about none of that because he did that and it showed when it really mattered against big teams. In the regular season, it was fine. He did whatever he needed to do. We were so much more better than all these other teams that it didn't matter. It didn't matter. But when it came to the higher quality teams and big pressure moments, you have to go to the guys that are getting baskets. You got to go to the hot hand. You got to distribute the ball, spread it out, get easy buckets. When I heard him say the best thing that they could do was take the most amount of threes possible, that's the most important stat in basketball is 3-point. I forget the exact quote. I'd have to pull it up, but it was something along the lines of like, you got to shoot a lot of threes. We weren't shooting enough threes, and this is why we lost the game. Or why weren't we getting back on defense? Why weren't we putting ourselves in better positions on defense? Oh, because we're not shooting effective threes to get ourselves back in time. Or maybe you could just get better quality twos, and then that way your team can get back. So, listen, I like Joe. He did good last year, better than I expected for year one. I'm going to be very honest. I was
he was thrown in, 2 days before the training camp?
I was very down on Joe Mazzulla. So I was wrong. I'll admit I was wrong about Joe Mazzulla. I thought he was going to be worse than what he was. But I will say that when the time came, he was outcoached by the Hawks. He was outcoached by the Heat. And I don't care about the series. Everyone's going to be like, oh, well, they won the series against the Hawks. They almost lost that series to a team who was by far inferior in every category. And they lost to a Miami Heat team who was also inferior in every category, except for the one player in Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was the best player in that series. And Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin made you look like fools. It made them look like Tatum and Brown, what they should have been.
They didn't even have Tyler Hero.
And that's proper scheming. That's Eric Spoelstra. That's what good coaching in the NBA does. They put their players in the best positions based off of their strong skill set. And all Joe wanted to do was huck up threes. And don't take my word for it. Look at Marcus. Coach Marcus coming in. Hey, Joe's taking a lot of slack, rightfully so. These are his words, not mine. We're not getting back on defense. Why isn't Rob Williams starting on defense? Why aren't we prioritizing defense? I'm not making this stuff up. Go look at the quotes from last season. Yeah. Marcus sitting in the coaching chair. Marcus, maybe this is why Marcus wasn't here now that I'm saying this out loud.
Yeah.
maybe he was sick of Marcus coming in and making some pointers about how his team was coaching defense. But I do like Joe. I think he was put in an impossible situation. How do you have a championship pedigree team like the Boston Celtics, and you go from an assistant to a head coach like this? And
dude,
now
he wasn't even a main assistant. He was in the back.
I know. I understand.
Crazy.
He was put in an impossible situation. I don't want to crap on Joe. I'm giving him a pass for last season. I really, really am. But I got to be critical because this is the championship window. You have two guys on max deals that, quite frankly, the time is ticking. Not just from their development standpoint, but I'm just saying them wanting to be here. because this is a tale as old as time over the last couple of seasons. Guys get paid, guys stay a couple of years. If they win, they stay. If they lose, they leave. This was the problem with Giannis. Giannis was about to pack up his things and go. What happened? They got Damian Lillard. Okay. What happened before that? He won a championship. Okay, great. We win a championship. Tatum and Brown are happy. Winning solves everything. What's going to happen in 3 years if this team doesn't win a championship? Are Brown and Tatum going to want to stay here? Because I don't think so. And quite frankly, I wouldn't blame them if they didn't, because they know what their window is, and they know that they, and I think Jalen looks at this team as like, hey, this is the best option for me because of money and all this stuff. And I like being here, but there's certain things about this team and this city that I don't like. And he's gone on record saying those things. So again, I know I'm getting off topic here, but this is all related to Joe Mazzulla. He needs to make sure that this team is set up. And I think Sam Cassell and some of these other guys are going to veer him in that direction that he needs to go. So I think this is a better setup already than what we had for last year. We lost, was it Stoudemire last year as well, midway season?
He's coaching college now.
Right, correct. So I understand he was put in an impossible situation. I'm giving him a pass. I was critical of him last year, rightfully so. We should have been in the finals last year. We were cut short of that. That's facts. And then the other part of this now is he's got a year under his belt. He's learned. He's acclimated. I just don't want him to make all his decisions because of the nerds. I don't. I would like for him to be able to put himself in a situation where he's coaching and he's like, this is what I need my guys to do to win. And if we do that, we're going to win 60, 65 games this year. We're going to be the 1 or 2 seed this year, and we're going to the finals. That is what should happen. And anything less than that is a flat out disappointment.
I agree. The thing I'm most excited to see about Joe in his second year as a coach is how he goes through situations where we're on, an 8-0 drought or a 12-0 drought. How does he handle those situations? I want to see Porzingis in the post. He was the second most effective, big man in terms of post efficiency. I want to see him in the post. I want to see him be utilized in that way. I want to see more action off ball from Jalen and Jason coming off screens, getting open, getting easier shots instead of them just ISOing, man. I'm sick of seeing ISOs, especially, dude. I'm annoyed with the amount of ISO situations Tatum gets for the last shot of the game. I mean, how many game-winning shots does he have in his career? Probably like 3 out of like 25. Like, he's not good on game-winning shots. He could take them. I don't care about that, but I want to see a play drawn up for him. I want to see something different because that's not working. So I want to see how he handles late game situations, play calling. I think Brad Stevens did an amazing job calling plays late in games and drawing up plays out of timeouts. I want to see Joe take something out of Brad Stevens' book, but it's going to be interesting to see how he goes through those 12-0 droughts where we can't score the ball. Is it still going to be pull-up threes and trying to fight back by threes? Or is he going to let Jrue Holiday take it over and calm things down? Is he going to run it through Porzingis? So I'm excited to see that aspect of things. But like you said, we have some new coaches here. I think Sam Cassell is going to be a major help. We have Charles Lee, who's, a veteran coach. He knows what he's doing. I'm already hearing that Jalen and Jason are loving working with him. And then something that is pretty new. I don't know if you heard about this, but Paul Pierce has been at every single training camp practice. He's been working out with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown 4 weeks before the season, just getting their mind right, getting their body right, and just teaching them the ins and out of what it takes to win a championship, man. And that's what makes me excited. If we can get KG in here, dude, what do you think KG could do to the mindsets of some of these guys like Jalen and Jason? I mean, get KG in there if possible. But I think Paul Pierce coming to practices are going to be a major contribution to where this team can go. And screw it, I would throw him on the coach staff as well. I think he motivates the guys. I think seeing him in the building helps younger guys out, everyone out.
Overall. Yeah. I mean, KG could be on my coaching staff any day. I mean, the guy is a fiery motherfucker, man. He's going to bring the best out of you. And if you're not bringing your best, he's going to call you out on your bullshit. That's what he was as a player. It sounds like that's what he would be as a coach. And he's been, critical. Him, Kendrick Perkins, Paul Pierce, those even Eddie House. I know he gets some spotlights nowadays on television. And these guys are critical because they won a championship and they understand they won a championship with, quite frankly, lesser talent than what this team is operating with now. If you want to get literal about it, I mean, somebody might argue with me about that, missing Ray Allen out of this, but I think pound for pound, as far as playability and just overall skill set, I mean, Jason Tatum is better than all those guys, in my
Yeah, for
opinion. You
sure,
know what I
for
mean?
sure.
So I'm
Skill-wise.
not saying combined, correct, skill-wise, overall game-wise. I understand what a KG brings, and I'm not making the comparison. It's a different era, different game, different valuation of skills. They didn't prioritize the three like they do now. But I think where Pierce is coming from, it's like, there's no way you guys should have lost this series. There's no way you guys shouldn't have at least been in the finals. Like, what are we doing here, guys? What do we got to do to get you right? And Pierce is, a guy that players respect in the league. And, for whatever reason, that tends to be what they gravitate to as players. They don't want to talk to somebody who, quite frankly, never played at that level. They want to talk to people who have played that level before.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely right, and that's why I think having them in the building is making them a better team overall. Like I said, if you can get KG in there, that'll be huge. But another thing I want to see differently from the Jays specifically is leadership, man. Like we said, Marcus Smart's gone. Grant Williams, very talkative guy, he's gone. Malcolm Brogdon, gone. So we need someone to take over that vocal leadership. And Jalen said in his interview, listen, don't be surprised if I'm out here yelling at guys, if I'm telling them to get in the right spots, if I'm more of a vocal leader. And I feel like that is amazing, dude. I want to see it. I know he said it. He might not take it on the floor. I feel like that's something we need. I know Hal Horford's there. I know Jrue Holiday is probably going to be a leader in the locker room as well. But if we don't start seeing leadership at Jalen and Jason vocally, do they even have what it takes to win a championship themselves?
Yeah, I would say I would be more interested in just the way they responded to being down in a game or just not playing to their level of expectation. Or heck, how about just not be flat coming out of the halftime in the third quarter, which has happened way too much all season long, and especially in the postseason. I mean, how often we got some sort of lead going, especially in that Philly series, and then we just come out and we're just flat going into the third. So I don't really need Tatum to be all out, all over people on camera. He's said in public that he's not KG. He's not that kind of guy. He leads in his own way. And I'm good with that. As long as it shows on the court. Are you coming out of halftimes ready to go? Are you battling back from 12, 15-point deficits? Are you coming out strong in the third? What does that locker room conversation sound like? Are you jazzing your guys up pregame? Are you holding people accountable on timeouts? Those are the things I want to see. I don't really need to see him berating somebody. I really just need to see the score at the end of the game and see where they're playing well and where they're not.
No, yeah, I agree with that too. I want them to be more vocal, like I said, but like you said, we have to come out in the second half better. Like we ranked 22nd in terms of fourth quarter points. We just blow games in the fourth quarter. How many times were we up by 17 points, 20 points, 14 points going into the fourth quarter, and then we score 7 points in the fourth quarter and lose by 2 points? It's like, dude, how does that happen? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Joe Mazzulla.
It carried over from the finals. We were doing that shit against Golden State, and we were like, "What the hell? We should be up 3-1 on these guys, and now we're down. Now we're tied, and then we never look back at it the same." But exactly. So this has been a problem. This isn't a Joe problem. This is a Tatum Brown problem. They're the veterans. Aside from Al, I understand he's a veteran, but he's older. Yeah, so guys like Tatum and Brown look up to a guy like that, but the rest of the team is going to look up to Tatum and Brown. So they have to be those guys that get that corrals everybody and gets everybody together and says, "Listen, guys, you're not doing this. You're not doing that. Get your shit together. Let's go. Let's win this game."
No, yeah.
And it's not going to be every night. It's an 82-game season, man. We're going to take L's, and that's okay, But are we playing good basketball?
Yep.
Are we putting together certain nights where there's just no doubt in my mind they're the best team in the league? Like, can I see that more often than I don't? And I understand if you want to hold out for the postseason, that's totally fine. But I just need to see quality basketball consistent this season. We saw a very consistent Boston Celtics team before the All-Star break last year. Can I see that all season? Because if I see that all season, I'm good with that. If I see second half Celtics this year, I'm not going to be okay with that. That's not good enough. That's not good enough.
And you already know we're going to be coming at their necks all season long in this podcast. So make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, and comment down below who you're most
coming at
excited
Brown
to
if he doesn't work on that left. I saw that video. You better be working on that left.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I'll take that. I understand. We'll see how he does during the season. Not a good look. I understand. But going back to what we're talking about, the one thing that frustrated me the most, dude, throughout the entirety of the season was when we take on, let's just say, for example, the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they had Shea Gilgeous out, they had Josh Giddey out, and they had, Jalen Williams out. And, Vegas status is minus 18-point favorites. We come out flat and lose the game by 20 points. I'm like, how? How do you lose those games? Like, you know what I mean? Those are gimmies. They're resting their best players. How do we not come out and just annihilate them? And that's what I need to see this season too. Listen, if we lose to a bad team here and there, it's fine. But if we do it consistently where we're just like, you know what?
It's going to happen.
It is.
You're going to lose games you shouldn't every season. I mean, it's not the NFL.
Well, we did it more than not last year.
No, that's totally fair. We got up to games that we needed to get up for, and we didn't play to the level of competition. But this is, again, a Brown Tatum problem because this was happening when Ime was here. This didn't just happen last year. This has been happening, this is a revisionist history. We've been seeing this now for 3 seasons. I feel like we haven't really seen a well-rounded regular season in quite a few years. And I think realistically what it's going to come down to is guys playing up to giving it what they need to give it every time they step on the court. And that's so hard to ask because it's such a long season. But I think really what it's going to come down to is how you're winning games. Who are you beating? Are you beating the higher level competition? Are you losing to the losers? If so, how often? Because if you tell me you play a below 500 team and you win you win 3 out of every 4, then I'm good with that because you're winning the majority of those games. Yeah. But if you're telling me that you can't even beat them half the time, it's like, what are you doing? I mean, you should be beating these teams on a regular basis. And the other thing too is stringing together wins, not just beating the bad teams, but beating them consecutively where it's like you're on a 2 or 3 games streak. And then maybe you drop one and then you hop up on another 4 game and then you drop one. Then maybe you go on a 6 or 7 game. I want to see those. I want to see quality runs where this team all season long, because they did it in the first half of last season.
I think we start off 18-2.
We were winning a shit ton of games to start off the season. And it was great. You know what I mean? And that's what you didn't get all year round. And I feel like it was teams figuring us out. It was teams knowing that we were just going to try to outscore our opponents. We weren't getting back on defense. We weren't prioritizing defense. Yeah. And because it was the regular season, we were getting away with it. But that shit doesn't work in the postseason. You can't beat teams like that. This is why you struggle against the Hawks. This is why you go the yard against Philadelphia, teams that you have owned historically over the last couple of years. I mean, we own Embiid. We own the Phillies, which by the way, side note, I don't know if you saw that Embiid comment, like the audacity of this dude to never beat us ever. And then all of a sudden say that they're better than us. Like, where are your receipts, my guy? Listen, I like the confidence. I know you got to say the right things, but show me the receipts at least. You can't beat you had us in a series and you choked it away.
Yeah, they're up 3-2, right? They're up 3-2.
Massively. And then he put a giant turd on the desk on game 7 and then just blamed everybody else. Like, oh, it's not me and Harden, it's everybody else. It's like, well, dude, you're the best player on the team. I don't know. Maybe play basketball. Maybe don't suck on a game 7. I don't know. Like, it's just like year after year we whip them. And now he's like, oh, yeah, no, we're still the best team. Which I get it. You got to say that. It's like not like, but like, dude, there's definitely a way to say it. Like, we're going to be competitive. I don't know where you're trying to go with saying that. You're a better team than Boston or the Bucks. I mean, you're probably not even
better than Heat.
You're not even better than the Heat, right? Yeah. I wouldn't even put you 4. I wouldn't even put you 3. I'd probably put you 4. So, but it was a funny comment. I read it. I'm just like, oh, that's funny. Like, I don't know what you're basing this off of, but okay.
Yeah, honestly, the Sixers, in my opinion, might have even got worse. I mean, they have been trying to trade James Harden for what seems to be the entire offseason, and now it seems like he's going to stay there. And I don't know. Listen, I don't know how that's going to go.
He was there, right? He showed up to media day.
He didn't show up to media day, but I think he showed up to first practice training camp.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, he showed up to first practice. But you know what? I will say this: Tyrese Maxey is a dog.
Man, you know who got him that way though?
Dog.
Sam Cassell. Sam
A
Cassell.
dog, bro. I know, but he's still a dog.
No, he is a dog. He is a dog.
And I saw him this series, and I'm like, God damn it, man. And the crazy thing is no acknowledgement from that franchise as like, it's me and Harden. We can't do anything. I'm like, Maxey was better than Harden, more consistent anyway. I know Harden had a couple of good games that series, but
it's just name value.
We're getting off topic. But again, Maxey, I'd take that guy on my team any day of the week. What a baller he is. Unbelievable. Yeah, what a player.
He's definitely next up. But, another coaching thing I want to talk about real quickly is, again, bringing up the JJ Redick podcast. I don't know if you heard of it or seen it, but there was a split moment last season before the season started where Joe Mazzulla and JJ Redick were talking about getting him on the coaching staff, and he said he was this close to being a coach for the Celtics. JJ Redick, would you think he would be a good coach? I mean, how are you feel? Would you like that? Because there was also another point in the season when they tried to get him again.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to see it to understand why. He's a player. He's a former player. He's been a player who's had a long string of playoffs. I mean, I think maybe one season his entire professional career he wasn't in the postseason or something like that. Something ridiculous. I forget. I saw some statistic that was like, at least for the first 10 or 12 years of his career, he was on a team in the playoffs. Yeah. So long stand of high level basketball, obviously historically great shooter, played at elite college, played at a very high level for a long time. I loved him as a player. I don't know how I would feel about him as a coach. I wouldn't hate the idea. He's not the head coach. So he's a coach that would prioritize probably a point that they value very highly, which is the 3-ball.
See, that's what I thought of it.
Yeah. And teaching guys how to shoot, particularly off the dribble or taking a pass. Yeah, coming off screens, because he was very good at that for a long time. And I mean, when I think of guys like that, it's him and Clay that come to my mind. Just guys that were really good at that type of game.
Kyle Korver. Yeah.
Kyle Korver, that's another good one. So, I don't hate it. I don't think it would be bad. I don't see how it could hurt, but I don't necessarily know.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I just wanted to bring it up because they were talking about, I was like, dude, imagine he was a coach for us right now. I thought that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I don't necessarily know how much that would make a difference, but I mean, I don't see why it would be a negative to have a guy like that who's a shooting specialist and pretty much made a career out of it too. I mean, that was really what he was. They didn't really have him do anything else. He was synonymous with just, hey man, you're open, take the 3. And exactly. he made way more than he missed.
No, yeah, I think it would help out just in the aspect of, you have a guy like Jalen and Jason. All you need around them is guys who can shoot the ball and just play their role. I think JJ Redick would help Sam Hauser, Jordan Walsh, and a bunch of those guys down in the depth chart. I think it would be amazing, but it's probably not going to happen. Just thought it was interesting. But overall, that's pretty much all I wanted to really talk about. I'm hearing a lot of good things at training camp, like the aura at a Jalen and Jason is a lot different. They're having more of a leadership role. They're trying every single possession. They're going at it with each other. So everything sounds good, but I mean, listen,
a long season, bud.
It's a long season.
It's a long season.
What do you expect to hear? They're doing bad in training. You're not going to hear that stuff. So
if they were doing bad in training camp, I would be very concerned.
yeah. So you're only going to hear good things. So
Tatum's probably been playing golf the last 4 months. It's good to get the game back in together and get the gang back in. And I know that there's some good camaraderie with him and Jrue prior to this. And obviously there's a lot of respect with all the guys. I saw some clips from Jrue's first practice. He looked great. I have no doubt. I really have a very high level of expectation for this team this year, but I also am not worrisome of how they're going to perform in the regular season. We're going to be talking about the regular season because we got a show to do. There's a show that has to be done, and we do it every week, regardless of if it's playoff basketball or not. But at the end of the day, I expect, and I feel great about how they're going to perform in the regular season. My level of concern is going to start arising as we get closer to March and April, and we start catching guys in the postseason. And now it's really, do you have the cachet? Do you have the roster? Are we healthy? Are we capable to beat however we're set up in the bracket? Do we have home court? Are we the 1 seed? Are we the 2 seed? All these things are going to matter. I think as the season goes, I'm going to be here nitpicking. I'm going to be here talking shit because that's what I'm here to do. But at the end of at the end of the day, I do have expectations. I want this team to win a title more than anything, more than any other thing.
Has to be
more than anything, man. I want this team to win. I want this team to win a title so badly. Yep. And I will be ecstatic when it comes, but I will be critical until it comes. And then guess what? When the next season comes, I'm going to be critical again, because as a fan, mediocrity, I don't know how you're a fan of a sport team and you're just like, with not meeting your expectations. I mean, I think that's bullshit. So I expect championship from this team. I expect banner 18 from this team. And so I'm going to be critical until they achieve that, because we got a fucking show to do.
Yeah, I mean, it should happen this year, man. I mean, when you look on paper, barring injuries, this team has what it takes to do pretty much anything that they set their minds to. So I'm excited for this season. But before we head out of here, who are the 3 biggest players that need to prove the most in this preseason? Because for me, I'm really, you know what? I'm going to go on a limit. I'm going to say Jaylen Brown. I know he had a great season, but we've been talking about it all year. He needs to be able to handle the ball, man. I want to see if he actually got better. You brought up earlier the video. The man's dribbling with his right, goes to his left, and it's like, dude, you can't even keep the ball with him. So, listen, I love Jaylen Brown, and Ricky knows I love Jaylen Brown. I need to see
more than anything.
All I want to see, man, is him be able to handle the ball a little bit better. Because if he can do that, he's going to be really good. I also want to throw Kristaps Porzingis in there because, listen, he had a great year last year. He looked horrible with Dallas and Luka. He looked horrible with the Knicks. Can he do this with Jalen, with Jason, with Jrue? Can he do it as the 3rd option, the 4th option? That's what I want to see. I'm going to throw him in the mix. And then one more guy I'm going to throw in the mix is Sam Hauser, strictly because of the fact that he looked really good at times last year shooting the 3 ball. He was actually ranked the 2nd highest in terms of defensive efficiency last season, which is a very underrated stat. I know you don't like stats, but I think Sam Hauser is a guy that can shoot the 3 ball.
No, I like stats. I don't care for the nerds.
The nerds.
Say you have to do something. I got nothing against nerds. I just don't want you making decisions based off of statistics. I like stats. I like points per game. I like rebounds per game. Assists per game. But don't give me percentages. I don't want to hear none of that.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, Sam Hauser is going to be my last guy because he looked good shooting the 3 ball. He was a good defender last year. Grant Williams is gone. I think Sam Hauser takes a huge role this season if and only if he comes out in the preseason and plays like he should. What about who are you? You have 3 guys?
Yeah, I don't have as many starters as you do. Let me just say this about Kristaps and Jalen, because they're not on my list. Both of those guys, I'm okay with them playing minimal preseason basketball for the sake of usage. I mean, I'm okay. I'm not saying that they shouldn't play. I think they should
12,
play
15 minutes a game.
I would even go less, 8, 9, 10 most, and I would sit them. But that's fine. Whatever they want to do, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to poo-poo the team if they're putting them out there for longer minutes. I personally don't care. If those guys play, great. If they don't play, don't care. I think they're going to be studs all season long. I think JB is going to ball out. I think Porzingis is going to do his thing. He'll fit a great role in this team. I'm not concerned. I'm way more concerned about those guys being healthy in March. So I know I'm way ahead of myself here, but the mileage starts now. The moment you start putting the ball on the court, you start putting the mileage on, and the clock starts ticking. And the further you go into the postseason, the more mileage you put on. So these guys, the less usage now, the better. I don't care if I'm getting ahead of myself. I think these things matter. So I'm not worried about those guys. I do want to see them play a little bit, but I don't care if they get 7-8 minutes. I'm good with that. The 3 guys I want to see Peyton Pritchard, number 1. Because he is probably going to be your backup point guard. And I say that with air quotes because I think you're going to see Al start. I think Derek's going to come off the bench as the guy in rotation first. Yeah. Well,
I think that's going to be matchup dependent. Honestly, I think when we go against bigger teams, Al will start. But when we go against a team like the Warriors, I think Derek White starts. But
fair. Totally fair. But when I'm talking first day, game 1, I think you're going to see Al out there first. And then they'll have Derek come off the bench. But Peyton Pritchard is going to take on Jrue's role when he is on the bench. I think that's a fair assessment.
No, I think that's completely true.
So I want to see how much he's developed. Great ball handler, good shooter, not a great shooter, isn't as good of a high percentage shooter as he was in college. I would like to see him take that next step in being a better shooter, especially when being guarded. He makes threes open. He wasn't making as many contested threes as I would like. I would like to see him start to improve on that. That's number one. Number two, I will also agree with you with Sam Hauser for the same reason why I want to see Peyton Pritchard is higher level shooting, better shot selection, more involved on defense. He's a taller guy. He's a bigger guy. I think he can guard when he wants to. So I would like to see that improve on him. And then if I had to say number three, just because I'm a sucker for rookie picks, I'm going to go Jordan Walsh. I want to see how good he is defensively. Summer League, I know some guys are try-harding. He's not playing at the level in Summer League that he's going to play once he gets up against some of these big boys. Even a guy who doesn't get a lot of minutes, but is a 2-3 year vet. You see in a lot of cases, they're schooling these young boys because it's like, I played real basketball. I played at the pro level. Like, I'm schooling you right now because I play at the high level. And I want to see how he plays against those guys, because especially since, he's not going to get crazy minutes to start his career, and that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's good that he develops and learns and grows behind some of these other guys. I think he has the potential to be a good player, especially defensively. Maybe grooming him to be a 3-and-D guy, I think that would be amazing. I know he's not statistically a good shooter, but hey, neither was JB. Now he's a good shooter. I know they're making him shoot the ball. And so he has the potential to be that. So that would be my three guys. I don't know how you feel about Hauser and Pritchard in that. Walsh and Pritchard in that assessment, but I'd like to hear your thoughts.
No, yeah. The thing about Jordan Walsh, like you said, we don't know how much he's going to play, but the crazy thing is, if Sam Hauser misses a couple of games, I think it's going to be Jordan Walsh. And you did bring up the point that he's not statistically a great shooter, but and I know it's a summer league. Summer league, he looked amazing shooting the ball. I don't know where it came from, what happened.
They were making him. He said it on the TV. They were making him shoot in practice. They're like, don't pass up that open three, shoot the ball. He said it in an interview. So they're making him shoot it, and they want him to shoot it. So, this is a league that's pro 3. So, you got to shoot the ball. Especially if you're not playing center, you got to shoot the ball. And even then, if you play center, you probably got to shoot the ball.
Yeah, Porzingis now. But like I was saying, Jordan Walsh, I'm going to put this out on the limb right now. If he plays like he did in the Summer League in the preseason and glimpses, if he shows that he can shoot the 3 ball, I think he might earn himself playing time sooner rather than later, because we know he's a great defender. And he's going to play. He's going to pick up 94 feet. Now, I don't think he's going to play big minutes, but I think you're going to see Joe Mazzulla give him 4 minutes, give him 5-6 minutes, maybe not every single night, but when he can, when we're up 20. And then I think if he can hit the 3 ball, I think he's going to be someone who surprises some people in terms of playing time. And then you said Peyton Pritchard. I do like that one. He's going to get a lot more minutes than he did last year. Remember, he requested a trade last year. He didn't want to be here because he wasn't getting playing time. He's getting the playing time. You have to prove yourself now. This is what you wanted. Can you live up to the expectations? Can you play and fight for a championship here in Boston? He's got to shoot the ball a little bit better. But when he's hot, the man's hot. So
listen, man, I love me some Peyton Pritchard. You know that, but at the end of the day, he talked a lot of talk in the offseason of wanting this, and now with Marcus gone, I know we got Jrue, but he's still going to be a guy commanding minutes. That he has to take that next step up if they're going to be a deeper team. I'm not talking about like competing, but I'm saying like when we're talking about like 7-8 man rotation, he's got to be the 8 guy. He's got to be number 8 at least. And if he's not number 8, I'm going to start being concerned of where that next guy is going to come from, because I don't see who that's going to be. And again, when you get to postseason play, it is all about your top 7-8 players.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think he will be the 8 no matter what. I don't see J.D. Davidson coming in taking minutes. Delano Banton is interesting. Don't see him playing right away. Jay Scrubb's not going to get any playing time. Steve Mikhailuk. Some of these guys aren't going to play. It's going to be Peyton Pritchard. Like you said,
most of those guys are going to be up in Maine.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard has a lot to prove. Like you said, Smart's gone, Holiday's in, but you also lost Malcolm Brogdon. So that's 2 point guards out, 1 in.
Which is where my concern lies, because we did lose. I know I downplayed it, distress asset. It's all true, but at the end of the day, he was a value add during the season last year, and you can't discount that. So you gotta find that guy too. He doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to be Malcolm Brogdon when you're as talented in the front 5 as we are. You don't need him to be Malcolm Brogdon, but like, can he be? I don't know. Could he be Fred VanVleet when he first came into Toronto? Do you remember Fred
Yeah.
VanVleet when he first arrived on the scene and people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah.
Kind of looks like
Dog.
Drake. What is going on with this guy? Like, what is he doing? I want that. I want the guy that just gives you a spark and then goes sits on the bench. You know, because Fred was a dog. Like, people want to think of him who he was like at the end of his career in Toronto, but like, remember when he first came on the scene and people were like, "Oh, who is this guy? Like, why is he?"
Because he was kind of undrafted.
He's kind of nice, and that's what I want to see out of him. I don't need the moon. I just need him in spots to be like, "Hey, we need a spark." And they tried to do that last year with him. He just didn't deliver. So I gotta be critical about Peyton. I like Peyton Pritchard a lot.
Big Oregon guy. You're gonna learn about Ricky being a big Oregon guy. So yeah,
I love Peyton Pritchard. I think he has potential, but he definitely. He had a nice uptick and then he flattened out a little bit last season. I want to see him come back up a little bit. He deserves more playing time to do that. He didn't get enough playing time during the regular season, and I think it reflected. But if he's given the time, I don't want to hear no excuses. If he's playing 11, 10 minutes, 12 minutes a night, I want to see numbers. I want to see shots go up. I want to see stats. I want to see assists. And he needs to take Jrue's place when he's on the bench.
I want him to be aggressive defensively, too. I know he's a little bit smaller, but pick up. Make the guys work. I know you're small, but pick up 94 feet so they work harder, so they get less energy, gets burned out a little bit more.
He has that ability to like be that ball hawk where there's a loose ball and he's like scrounging to go get it.
That kind quick. He's like quick and feisty.
He's got that ability to go hunt down the ball, but I think it's going to come down to getting that buy-in from him. That's like, listen, man, this is your role. We're going to give you these minutes. We need you to do this. I think if he can get buy-in on that you'll see that from him this year.
Exactly. And this should be the time he buys in. This is the best chance for him to stay around in Boston. So, like you said, I think that was probably my favorite one of yours, Peyton Pritchard. He's got a lot to prove in preseason, so it's going to be a big couple of weeks.
He's got a lot to prove. He's got a lot to prove. Not just preseason. If he doesn't ball out preseason, I'm not concerned. But he's got a put up, shut up season in this year. If he gets the minutes and he's not performing, I mean,
how long does he play if he's not performing the first 2 months?
It's time to go, bro. It's time to go.
So we'll see how that happens. I think preseason a big stepping stone. I went in the direction of seeing our guys start to gel together. That's why I said Porzingis and Jalen, but I like yours as well. One more thing. How do you feel and this is totally off topic, how do you feel with the play-in tournament, man? I feel like it's so weird, but it's here. It's our first season here. I think it's going to be interesting, but I don't get it at the same time. Why are they playing? Why are they going to risk injury for money? I mean, but all right.
No. You're confusing it. Not the players. I'm talking about the league.
Okay.
I'm talking about the league, baby. That moolah, that green, that cheddar. They literally don't know when to stop. They don't know when to stop. It's like, stop it. You're not FIFA. You're not. This isn't the Premier League. Like, we don't they do that shit. We don't need to do any of this. I don't even think we need to do the All-Star game. I get it. Everyone gets all excited for that shit. And that'll be a topic when we get closer. But I think that shit's so pointless. I don't even, guys just, no one's playing defense. Nobody cares. Everyone's just having a good time. And it's fun. If these guys want to go and play, 48 minutes of basketball, whatever, have a ball. But at the end of the day, it's just so, the dunk contest hasn't been entertaining in years. None of this shit is entertaining to me. I think it's all fluff. It's all marketing. It's all ways to get asses in seats and more revenue for the league. And you're still not, paying your women's league appropriately, and you're still not, doing some of the things you're supposed to be doing as an organization. But we're gonna do this play-in tournament because this is gonna bring in more money. So listen, I would find it hard pressed after a season or two that the players will want anything to do with this.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of it in a couple years from now. But I don't know if I understand it fully. So do these games count as regular season games? Do they count on the record?
I don't know.
You don't know? I don't know either.
To be honest, I'm not as educated on this topic as I probably should be. I do know that it's like a middle of the season thing, just like soccer, football is, as a sport in Premier League, they do the middle of the season tournaments and stuff like that. I know that that's what's happening. I forget what the.
I know they get $750,000 bonus for the winners.
Which is weird because
Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown they don't care about that. They're not going to want to play for that.
They
Why
don't give a fuck about that.
why would they risk injury for that? I mean, listen, it's a lot of money. I would love that.
Listen, I would play it for $750,000, but I'm not on a supermax.
Yeah,
that, literally could care less about this play-in tournament. And I guess I'll have to do more research, and we can talk more about this on another topic. I get why you're asking the question. I think it's pointless. I don't like it. I'm a big anti-change guy. I don't even really like the play-in. I think if you're not one of the top 8 teams, you should just go away.
I'm gonna say I like the play-in tournament just because the Miami Heat story. They were the 10 seed. They were the 10 seed and went to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, because they knew they could be. Because if it was just eight teams, they would have done whatever they had to do to be the 8 seed. Like they wouldn't have. Jimmy knew that. Jimmy's like, listen, man, we can just coast, we'll whoop on this bad team, and then we'll go and we'll smack Giannis around, and then we'll go play Boston and beat them like we always do.
I guess so, but they were still minutes away from losing to the Bulls. They were minutes away from losing to the Bulls. I think I agree with you slightly. But I don't think they wanted to be the 10th seed. I think
they were minutes away from losing to the Bulls, but I don't think they thought it was going to come down to that. I thought they would think it was easier than what it was for sure. And Jimmy's just that kind of guy. He's like, and I'm not saying Jimmy was throwing games, but I'm just saying, like, if you put yourself, I think they were okay with being in the predicament because of the play-in. I think that if they needed to take that extra gear to be the 8th seed, they would have taken that extra gear to be the 8th seed. So I
agree with that. I agree with that specifically because Jimmy and Lowry and Hero and Bam, they sat out a lot of games last year. So I agree they would have fought for the 8th seed. But I think the play-in does make things a little bit more interesting in terms of underdog.
I think it's kind of stupid.
Okay, so we'll have our first disagreement with this. I actually do like the play-in tournament.
I mean, it's entertaining. I watch it. I just think it's like, come on, man. Like, you can't even be – like, these guys have below 500 records. I'm like, you can't even – be the top in the top. I mean, it's 8 teams out of 15. It's 30 man. So you just have to be you don't even have to be halfway. You have to be the top 8 out of 15 teams. That's less than half. So it's just like, come on, man. Now we have 2/3 of the conference that is playing into the tournament. And I get it. It just adds a Cinderella story, I guess. It was the first time it happened. I don't hate it. I just think it's stupid. I just come on, man. Like, you're giving these bad teams a chance to come in here and play. And I understand what you're saying about Jimmy and the Heat, but I am very confident that they would have been in the 8th seed, cozy, if it wasn't otherwise. They did, like LeBron has done for many seasons. They don't care about seeding. What do I got to do to make the playoffs? And then I'm going to start rolling.
No, that's smart. That's very smart.
Why wouldn't you? It's because if home court advantage doesn't really bother you, a guy like LeBron's played in every hostile environment there is to know. And if he has the cachet, he's like, screw it. I don't need home court. I'll play whoever, whenever, wherever. I don't care. And guys like Jimmy and guys like LeBron are those type of guys. Now, you could say that's a selling point, which I would say fair, but I think it's dumb because you shouldn't award people for just coasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And now we got to deal with the mid-season tournament. I don't like it right now.
Dumb.
I think it's dumb, but I also want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let me see how it plays out. Let me see if these guys are actually invested. Let me see if there's actually something big on the line here. I don't know.
You're going to like it because you're going to have content. Stop it. It'll give you content.
The NBA.
You're going to be like, you're gonna be like, oh, I like this because I get content now. I got a little content from my YouTube page.
Oh, hey,
you know what I mean?
You can have content too now that we have this podcast. The Celtics could make a big mid-season tournament run.
Oh yeah, I'm so looking forward to winning the midseason tournament and then getting gassed in the playoffs, so I can be here yelling at the screen, being like, "Why the fuck do they care so much about this tournament?" Just like, why the hell do they care about missing regular season games and then showing up to play in the All-Star game? That shit drives me bananas. I'm not going to get into that right now because I'm sure they're going to be resting and then getting ready to play in the wild card game so they can play grab ass with one another. And then I'm going to have to come in here and say, why aren't you playing this game but showing up to the All-Star game? Because that conversation's happened with Kyrie when he was here. Tatum did it last year, and Brown, and I'm going to be saying it again this year.
Yeah, I mean, you probably will be, but you know what? I kind of think the mid-season tournament is going to be for the lower teams. I feel like the lower teams are going to be the ones that are really trying to win. The teams that are already out the playoff running, those are those. Because I think you get a trophy. I think you get like it's kind of like a
Oh,
finals.
good.
I think
Oh,
you get.
good.
There's going to
Great.
be like it's going to be like the Hornets or some one of those teams down below who are just stacking up
Great.
mid-season tournament wins.
Great trophy. Go put it in your go put it in your trophy room and celebrate your mid-season victory. It's like winning the Fiesta Bowl now.
Yeah, it's like yeah,
It's like, oh good. Oh good, you won the Fiesta Bowl. Great job.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what year one brings of that, and if he even has year two. But
So dumb.
hey, good thing is we're what couple days away from 4 days away from preseason game one. I think we take on the Sixers, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday, 6 o'clock Eastern
Yeah.
time. So I'm excited for that first game action. Our next episode, I think we're gonna have like 3 games to kind of break down. We're gonna get to see Pay and Pritchard. We're gonna get to see Sam Hauser and some of these young guys that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the backup center position. Wayne Gabriel we signed, Luke Cornett, or Nehemiah Keita. Who's gonna be the backup big? So that's gonna be fun to watch.
That'll be interesting too, to see who's going to be taking it, or it's going to be none of them. They're all going to get cut, and we're going to have
Dwight Howard.
New guys. Oh, please don't.
I mean, Dwight Howard and Boogie Cousins. Would you take any of those guys?
No, I wouldn't. I would just give me a young guy who's got a motor and who's willing to play. I mean, I would have to see. I'm a maybe on Dwight.
Maybe on Dwight
for the sole reason that he's won a chip.
Yeah,
the only reason.
Maybe bring back Blake Griffin.
He did, dude. I would take Blake Griffin back before I took either one of those two guys back. He gave he kind of sucked, but he gave you something in those little spots. He gave you something. He was trying to rebound. He was trying to hunt down the ball,
drawing charges.
Yeah, he did his thing. I would take him back before I took back them. But all right, man. Yeah, I'm excited. I will cover all 3 games next time we're in.
Next time we're going to be covering that, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and comment down below who are you most excited to see over the next couple preseason games. We're going to cover it all for you throughout the entirety of the season. Appreciate you guys coming through, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. All right. It was like an hour.
Yeah, dude. We stretched it, but I